When I returned home after my husband's funeral, my mother-in-law opened the door of my own house and said, "Sweetheart, you don't live here anymore." But she had no idea what kind of war she had just started. It was an unusually warm February morning in Atlanta, but I was shaking like a leaf. The key turned stiffly in the lock, as if even the house didn't want to let me in. I had just come from the funeral home, where I finalized the arrangements for Michael's burial. My husband, my one and only. 3 days ago, his heart stopped right in front of me in the cardiology wing of Emory Hospital. I was still wearing the same jeans I'd worn for the last 24 hours in the hospital, the smell of disinfectant still clinging to my hair. In my hands was a box of his belongings, his watch, his wedding ring, his wallet with our wedding photo tucked inside. I wasn't ready to face an empty house, but I was even less prepared for what I found. When the door finally opened, it wasn't the silence of our home that greeted me. It was laughter, a woman's laughter coming from the living room. I froze in the doorway, my mind struggling to process. "Beatrice?" I called out hesitantly, recognizing my mother-in-law's voice. "What are you doing here?" And there she was, stepping into the hallway, Beatrice Clark, 58, always impeccably dressed, always with that icy smile. She held a cup of coffee. "My coffee, from my coffee maker." "Oh, Margaret dear," she said, her tone suggesting she was welcoming me into her home. "I didn't expect you back so soon." "Soon?" I blinked, confused. "This is my house, Beatrice. Of course I came home." She tilted her head, her smile widening. "Oh, sweetheart, I'm afraid this isn't your house anymore." The world tilted. "What did you say?" "Well, technically," she said, taking a sip of coffee, "this house belonged to my son, and now that he's gone," she shrugged, "it goes back to the family, the real family." My face went cold as the blood drained from it. "I'm his wife! I am his real family!" "You were his wife," she corrected. "Temporarily." At that moment, Christina, Michael's younger sister, appeared from the living room. 26, always her mother's favorite. She was holding a box with my photos inside. "Hey, Margaret," she said without even looking at me. "We decided to redecorate." I watched in horror as she tossed our wedding photos into the box like they were trash. "Christina, what's going on? Put those back." "Listen," Beatrice said, setting her cup on the hall console. "I know this is hard, but facts are facts. This house was bought with Michael's money. In his name, you weren't married long enough to have any claim." "We were married for 8 years," I shouted. 8 years without children," Beatrice replied coldly. 8 years of you sitting at home playing housewife while my son worked. What did you contribute to this family? To this house?" Rage boiled inside me. "I gave up my interior design career to support his business. You spent his money on your little trinkets," Beatrice interrupted. "Your plants, your kitchen remodel, your hobbies. And now you think you can just stay here?" "I have rights," I started, but Christina laughed. "What rights? You didn't even give him kids. What claim do you have to his legacy?" It was like a slap in the face. Michael and I had tried for 3 years to have children. Countless tests, procedures, hopes, and heartbreaks. And now this. This girl was using our pain against me. "Get out," I whispered. "What?" Beatrice raised an eyebrow. "Get out of my house!" I shouted louder. "Now!" Beatrice laughed. "Or what? You'll call the police? On what grounds? I'm the mother of the homeowner. I have keys. Michael gave them to me last year when you were in the hospital with appendicitis." I remembered. Yes, He'd given her the keys for a week to feed the cat while I recovered. I thought she'd given them back. Furthermore, Beatrice continued, I've already spoken to a lawyer. Mr. Peterson confirmed my rights as next of kin. So, sweetheart, pack your things. You have 24 hours. I stood in the middle of my home, the home Michael and I bought together, the home we furnished, where we dreamed of raising children and felt like a stranger. Beatrice and Christina stared at me like I was an intruder. I'm not leaving, I said quietly but firmly. Then I'll call security, Beatrice replied calmly. And it won't be pleasant for anyone, especially you. I looked at Christina, hoping for a shred of humanity. Christina, please. You know how much I loved your brother, how we lived here. This house was Michael's, she said, not even meeting my eyes. And now it's ours. Sorry, Margaret, but that's life. Something in me broke. Or maybe it came together. I straightened, wiped my tears, and looked at them both. Fine, I said calmly. I'll leave. But not because you're kicking me out. Because I need to check something. Beatrice frowned. Check what? The house documents, I said, grabbing my bag and heading for the door. You see, ladies, there are some things about your dear Michael you don't know. I walked out, leaving them stunned. At the Holiday Inn on Peachtree Street, I booked a room for a week. Michael's credit card still worked, and I felt no guilt using it. After all, I was his wife. But I couldn't sleep. I lay on the stiff hotel bed, thinking. I remembered a day 2 years ago when Michael came home pale as a ghost. Margaret, he said, collapsing onto the couch beside me. I need to tell you something. I put down my book. What's wrong? The company. We lost a major client. A $2 million contract fell through. My stomach dropped. How bad is it? Bad. The bank might take the house. What can we do? I don't know. Maybe borrow from Mom? No, I said firmly. Not Beatrice. We'll figure something out. And we did. Or rather, I did. The next day, I went to SunTrust Bank and took out a loan in my name, using my savings as a down payment. I transferred half the house's ownership to myself to qualify for the loan. I didn't tell Michael the details. He was too proud to accept help from his wife. I just said I'd found a solution, that the bank agreed to restructure. He was so relieved he didn't ask questions. But the documents existed, and now they were my ace in the hole. In the morning, I called Jessica Harris, a lawyer recommended by a friend, a tall, confident woman in her 40s with a sharp gaze and a firm handshake. Tell me everything, she said, sitting at her office desk. I told her about Michael's death, Beatrice and Christina's invasion, their demands. Jessica listened, nodding occasionally. Do you have the house documents? She asked. Yes, but they're in the house. I can't get to them. That's a problem. Without the documents, we can't. Wait. I interrupted, remembering. I have copies in a safe deposit box at the bank. Perfect. Let's go. An hour later, we were in a small room at SunTrust Bank, pulling documents from the safe deposit box. Jessica studied each page carefully. Margaret, she said finally, I have good news. According to these, you're a co-owner of the house. 50% is in your name. So that means... It means no one can kick you out of your own home. In fact, they're the ones breaking the law by trespassing. A fire sparked inside me. What do I do? Go home. Right now. With the police if necessary. And if they won't leave? Jessica gave a predatory smile. Then we sue. For trespassing, theft, emotional distress. They'll regret crossing you. I returned to the house with Officer Johnson. Beatrice's car was still in the driveway. "You're sure this is your house?" the officer asked. "Yes, and I have the documents." We approached the door. I rang the bell. A minute later, Christina opened it. "Margaret? What are you—" "I'm back home," I said calmly. "And I brought a police officer." Christina paled. "Mom!" she shouted. Beatrice appeared in the hallway, her face twisting with rage when she saw the officer. "What's going on?" she demanded icily. "What's going on is you've illegally entered my home," I said, "and I'm demanding you leave immediately." "Your home?" Beatrice laughed. "Officer, this woman is clearly grieving and delusional. This house belonged to my late son." Officer Johnson looked at me. "Ma'am, do you have proof?" I pulled out the folder. "Yes, here are the ownership documents. As you can see, the house is in both my name and my late husband's." Beatrice snatched the papers from my hand. "This can't be." "It is," I said. 2 years ago, when Michael had financial trouble, I helped him. I took out a loan and put half the house in my name. This house is as much mine as it was his." Beatrice's face was white as chalk. You tricked him." "I saved him," I snapped. "I saved this house and his business, and now I'm the legal owner." "Officer." Beatrice turned to the policeman. "There must be a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding," Officer Johnson said. "The documents are clear. This is her house. You need to leave." "But we're family. We have rights." "You have rights to whatever Mr. Clark left you in his will," the officer said. "But not to his wife's house." Christina started crying. "Mom, what do we do?" "Pack your things," I said firmly. "You have 1 hour." Beatrice glared at me with such hatred that I felt chills. "This isn't over, Margaret," she hissed. "This is just the beginning." "I'm ready," I replied. An hour later, they were gone. Christina was sobbing. Beatrice was stone-cold silent. I stood at the window watching their car disappear around the corner. The house was a mess. They'd turned it upside down. My photos were in boxes, furniture rearranged, their groceries in my fridge. I started cleaning, but a sense of dread grew inside me. It was right. The next day, Jessica called. "Margaret, bad news. Beatrice hired a lawyer. They're suing." "On what grounds?" "They claim the house transfer was done without Michael's knowledge. That you coerced him under financial pressure." "That's a lie." "I know, but they'll have to prove it in court. They're also claiming Michael showed signs of dementia in his final months." I froze. "What?" "They say he was forgetful, disoriented, acting strangely. They're trying to prove he wasn't capable of making decisions." "That's not true," I exclaimed. "Michael was perfectly fine." "Do you have medical records to prove it?" I thought for a moment. Yes. Yes. He had a full checkup with a cardiologist 3 months ago, and he saw a neurologist, Dr. Anderson at Emory. Great. We need those records. But how do I get them? You're his wife. You have access to his medical records. Dr. Anderson, a kind-eyed man in his 50s, met me in his office the next day. "Mrs. Clark, my condolences," he said. "Michael was a good man." "Thank you, doctor. I need copies of his medical records." "Of course. May I ask why?" I explained the situation. Dr. Anderson frowned. "That's outrageous," he said. Michael was in excellent mental health. Yes, he had heart issues, but no signs of dementia or cognitive impairment. Can you confirm that? Better yet, I can give you a copy of his last exam. We did a full neuropsychological evaluation just a month ago. His cognitive abilities were well above average. Relief washed over me. Will this help? It'll destroy their case, he said with a smile. And I'm willing to testify in court. The courtroom was packed. Beatrice sat in the front row, dressed in a black suit. Next to her were Christina and their lawyer, Mr. Peterson, an older man with an arrogant demeanor. I sat with Jessica, clutching a folder of documents, medical reports, bank records, our marriage certificate. The judge, a woman in her 50s, called for order. The case of Clark versus Clark, she announced. The plaintiff claims the defendant illegally seized the property of the late Mr. Michael Clark. Mr. Peterson stood. Your Honor, my client, Mrs. Beatrice Clark, is the mother of the deceased. She alleges the defendant exploited her son's temporary mental instability to coerce him into transferring property. Objection! Jessica stood. There's no evidence of mental instability. Overruled, the judge said. Proceed, Mr. Peterson. Your Honor, we have witnesses who will confirm Mr. Clark's behavior was erratic in his final months. He called the first witness, Michael's neighbor, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson, did you know the deceased? Yes, we were neighbors for 5 years. Did you notice anything unusual in his recent behavior? Thompson nodded hesitantly. Well, he forgot my name a few times, and once I saw him looking for his car in the parking lot when it was right in front of him. Thank you. No further questions. Jessica stood for cross-examination. Mr. Thompson, how often did you speak with Mr. Clark? Rarely. Maybe once a month. Just saying hi. And based on these brief encounters, you're assessing his mental state? Well, Are you a doctor? No. A psychologist? No. Then how can you judge someone's mental health? Thompson faltered. I can't. Thank you. No further questions. The next witness was Michael's colleague, Susan Wright. Mrs. Wright, you worked with Mr. Clark? Yes, at the same company. Did you notice changes in his behavior? Yes. He became forgetful, mixed up meetings, forgot clients' names. How often? Pretty often in his last months. Jessica stood for cross-examination. Mrs. Wright, was Mr. Clark under stress in those months? Yes, he had financial troubles. Could that have affected his focus? Possibly. Have you ever been forgetful during stressful times? Yes. Did that mean you had dementia? No, of course not. Thank you. Then it was my turn. Mrs. Clark, Jessica began. Tell the court about your marriage. I told them how we met, how we married, how we built a life together, how I supported his business, how we made decisions as a team. Tell us about the house transfer. 2 years ago, Michael had financial trouble. The bank threatened to take the house. I offered to take out a loan in my name to save it. Michael agreed. Did he understand what that meant? Of course. We discussed every detail. He was grateful for my help. Can you prove it? I pulled out documents. Here are records of our bank meetings. Michael was there for all of them. That's his signature. Mr. Peterson stood for cross-examination. Mrs. Clark, did your husband know you were becoming a co-owner of the house? Yes. Are you sure? Absolutely. But he didn't tell his mother or sister. That was our private business. Or did you hide the true nature of the deal from him? Objection! Jessica stood. Overruled, the judge said. I hid nothing, I said firmly. Michael knew everything. Proof? Yes. I pulled out another folder. These are medical reports from Dr. Anderson at Emory, a full neuropsychological evaluation from a month ago. The room went silent. Mr. Peterson took the documents, scanned them, and his face darkened. Your Honor, Jessica said, these documents clearly show the late Mr. Clark was of sound mind and made informed decisions. The judge reviewed the papers. Mr. Peterson, do you have medical evidence to the contrary? Your Honor. Yes or no? No, Your Honor. Then I see no grounds for this lawsuit. Case dismissed. The property remains with Mrs. Clark. After the trial, Beatrice caught up to me on the courthouse steps, her face twisted with fury. You think you've won? She hissed. I don't think. I know, I replied calmly. You stole his house. I saved his house. When you were nowhere to be found, ignoring his struggles. I'm his mother. You were his mother, but you were never his friend. You never supported his choices. You always thought I wasn't good enough for him. Beatrice fell silent, and in that silence was the truth. He loved me, I continued, and I loved him. We were family, real family, and no one can take that away. This isn't over, she said finally. For me, it is, I replied. For me, it's freedom. A year has passed. I still live in our house. I've gone back to work as an interior designer, and business is good. The garden Michael and I planned has finally bloomed. Beatrice and Christina no longer bother me. I heard they moved to another state. Sometimes, sitting in the garden at dusk, I think of Michael, how proud he'd be to see me now, how he'd smile, knowing I stood up for myself, for our love, for our home. I'm no longer the broken woman who trembled on her own doorstep. I've learned to fight. I've learned to value myself. Michael always said I was stronger than I thought. Now I know he was right. Last week, I received a letter. No return address, but I recognized Beatrice's handwriting. Inside was a photo of Michael as a child and a few lines. He was a good son. I see now he was a good husband too. I'm sorry. I stared at that photo for a long time. Little Michael, smiling at the camera, carefree and happy. That's how I'll remember him. I framed the photo and placed it on the mantel beside our wedding pictures, not out of sentimentality, but understanding. Michael wasn't just mine. He was a son, a brother, a friend, but he chose to be my husband, and that was his right. Yesterday, I met a man at a cafe, David, 45, a widower. We talked about loss, about how hard it is to start over. He asked me to dinner, and I said yes, not because I've forgotten Michael. I never will, but because I've realized life goes on, and I have a right to happiness. Michael would want me to be happy. The house on Peachtree Street is still my home, but it's no longer a mausoleum of memories. It's a place where I build a new life, where I welcome guests, where I laugh, where I plan for the future. Beatrice was right about one thing. This was a beginning, but not of a war, of a new life. My life. And I'm ready to live it fully. This morning, I planted new roses in the garden. Red, like the ones Michael gave me every anniversary, but now they grow for me, symbolizing not the past, but the future. I stand on the threshold of my home, and the key turns easily in the lock. The house greets me with warmth and light. I'm home. I'm free. I'm alive. And this is only the beginning. Did you like the story? Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next interesting story. See you tomorrow.